Welcome back, y'all, to a new episode for the Person in the Back podcast. This is your girl, Charlisa Wellington. If you may not know me, I am Christ's servant. First and foremost, I want to thank y'all for clicking on my video. I also want to pray that you are having a good day or you had a good day. I'm so excited for the topic right now that's about to be presented to you all. I pray that you are blessed, that you have this has added value to your life in some way, even if it's a small way. So today, y'all, I want to talk to you about the importance of being intentional. I said the importance of being intentional. It's a song, I think, by Travis Green. It talks about being intentional, and it talks about how God is intentional, how his providence is always something that's there. So that means providence means his character, on how he knew before you knew that you would be here, and he had a plan for you. So everywhere you step, he understands that I know where you're gonna go, and I know what's gonna be meeting you there when you get there. That is the loving part about God, that he's so strategic in everything that he does. It's nothing that he doesn't know about that's going on in your life that he cannot fix. So stop taking the credit from God. Stop telling yourself that this is too much for him, that he cannot do anything for you, because he created you and he knows the problems that you're going through and he can get you through. But tonight, which is night right now for me, tonight I want to make this a beautiful reminder to you that God is wanting you to be intentional with him so he can be intentional with you. Whatever you put out there, it may be negative thoughts, it may be positive thoughts. Whatever you put out into the world, that's exactly what God can give back to you. And that's exactly what he's going to give back to you, because he doesn't want you to be in a place where you do not have enough faith to believe that he can get you out of the situation that you may be in, that you don't want to be in. So when we talk about being intentional, we can talk about being intentional with a person on this earth that you can tangibly feel. We can talk about those things where you can see a person and you know if they're being intentional with you or not in a relationship. But when you are in a relationship with God, you are going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to take the step towards him. You're going to have to make some things happen when it comes to him, because it's just as much as he was creative from day one and said, I want to make this earth, I want to make a heaven for you, so that when you leave earth, I want to have a place prepared for you when you leave here. And I also want to have a place prepared for you when you get here through your mother's womb. So God has been intentional all of this time, because he knows that I can't fail you. I've kept a promise to Abraham. I've kept a promise to Noah. I kept a promise to Isaac. I kept a promise to all of these people, because I knew that a plan had to be fulfilled. I had to keep my word. So another aspect of being intentional is being honest. It's being a woman or a man of your word. It's saying, God, I'm making this promise to you. If I say I'm going to read the Bible tonight, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to get up and pray, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to fast away from social media or away from this meal and put the plate down, I'm going to do it, because I'm being intentional. When a person is being intentional in a relationship, they're getting things prepared. They're pursuing you like never before, because they are not looking at the other options, but they are looking at the only option, because they understand that that is that important to them, that no one else matters but the person that they are being intentional with. And this is so vital in your relationship with God, because when you believe in your heart that it's something else you could be doing, but you choose him. That's love. When God says, I've created billions of people on this earth, but I decided to use you. I decided to use your gifts and your talents and your skills to get my work done. That's the goal. That's the assignment when you're being intentional. I know you may have other things to distract you. I know you don't feel like it. I know the enemy been telling you you too tired. I know he been telling you you not good enough. But when you are being intentional with God, you're being honest by saying whatever you do, whatever you want me to be used for, I can be used, because I understand that there's more to you than I can think or imagine. There's so many layers to God that you are just going to have to unpeel the more you are in a relationship with him. The more the time passes, you are able to reveal some parts of God that you never saw before, because you're being intentional. When we talk about in the Bible seeking him first and all the other things will be added, that means it sounds like a little bit like you're having to be intentional when you're seeking him. You can't be texting and then talking to God and saying, God, I want you to hear me, but I'm also wanting the attention of people. When you are being intentional, you have to give you all of yourself or none of yourself. God doesn't want just half of you. He wants all of you. He wants all of the places in your heart that you said, God, fix me. He don't want you just to give, oh, I just want you to have a little of that anger, but I still want to keep my relationship problems so I can stay in that situation a little bit longer. No, when you come to God, you have to come knowing that he's ready to invade every aspect of whatever you're ready to give him. When in the Bible, when people would sacrifice animals, they didn't sacrifice half of the animals. They didn't say, oh, God, I want you to have a leg of my animal and that should be good. No, when they made that sacrifice, they were intentional, knowing that God had something better once they lost the thing that they thought that meant the most to them. But how many of you may know that when you are giving something to him, you are automatically qualifying yourself to get something better than that which you was able to give? That is so, so amazing when you are living your life based on faith and based on intentionality and based on being in pursuit of the things that God has for you, and being in transition to finding out, who is this God that I said he is? Who is this God that I portrayed him to be in my last season? And who is he right now? Because I have to know that there is a shift, there is a change in him that I need to find out about, because I'm being intentional. Knowing that God is being intentional with us should give us an inkling of curiosity on why he is even being intentional with us. I know that whenever I'm in a relationship with someone and I feel like they're giving me their all, I feel like I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision. Do I want to match what they're doing, or do I want to go above and beyond what they're doing, or do I just want to back up? And that's sometimes what God feels like. Like, do I want to go above and beyond for this person, or do I want to match this person's faith because they said they believe in me, they said they trust me? Do I want to match them, or do I just want to chill out because they're not paying me no attention? This is the time to get in God's grill. I ain't talking about just because you went through something and you feel like you need to give God your life now that you feel like you don't have enough to give. No. Give God the best of you. Give God all of you. The creative part too. That's another aspect of intentionality that we're talking about right now, because in order for you to be intentional, you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to be spontaneous. That's what God loves about us as humans, and I know that's what he likes about me, because I love spontaneous. They have spontaneous worship. They have spontaneous, whatever it may be, witnessing, evangelism. I love that. because God comes in even when you least expect him to come in. That's why you always have to be ready. Even when you're in a relationship, I love to refer back to that because that's something that we can relate to when we're in a one-on-one relationship with someone. When you know that they have your location, when you're in a relationship with someone and they know where you are at all times, they can just pop up. Y'all, I love to do pop-ups. I don't know about y'all, but if I got their location, I'm bound to go wherever you are because I understand I have access to you because we are on one accord. We are in a relationship with each other, so we should be able to go to that location where they are. So when God is in a relationship with us and we're in a relationship with God, I said that intentionally. When we are in a relationship with God and God is in a relationship with us, we have to know that that location is on, that he is bound to pop up and say, I want you to be used for this. I want you to use that gift that you said you couldn't use because you were too afraid. I want to use those things inside of you that you may not even know exist because I'm a pop-up God. I want you to know, I want you to be on your toes when you're in a relationship with me because when I give you those instructions, I'm expecting you to know that I can give you a spontaneous blessing. If you are pursuing God, know that this suffering may not be forever. That whatever you may be going through, just like it came out of the blue, one day your parent died, one day all of this stuff started to fall apart, God can put that same day into putting it back together. That is so good, y'all. It's to know that God can put something together as fast as things have fell apart. Trust in the God that will mend some things in your life, even when you thought that you didn't deserve it at that moment, that it was too much going on, that you can trust in that same God to allow peace to mend those broken places, those weary crevices, places in your life that you may think that could never be replaced. God can replace it with some joy. He can replace it with some unspeakable peace, some things that cannot be said. God can move like never before in your life when you're confident that he has everything in the right timing. So going back to that, my intentional moment of saying you have to be in a relationship with God because you have to get thirsty. That's another facet of knowing, of being intentional. You have to get thirsty. In his word, he says, those who hunger and thirst after him shall be filled. When you're thirsty after God, he can fill you. When you good, he can't fill you. When the cap is on, he can't fill you. But when you take the cap off, when you take your bonnet off, when you take your pride off, God can come in the nick of time and fill you up with his love, his unfailing love in the places that you needed to be filled, and even in other places that you didn't even know would ever be empty. That's so important. But knowing that you are in a relationship with him, when God sent his son, Jesus Christ, to die on Calvary for you, he had an intentional moment to say, I want their sins to be wiped away. I want their sins to be clear, even though they will choose sin. I don't want sin to choose them. I don't want that to cover them. I want their love to show over and override the sin that may be trying to come out of them. But I want to be that. I want to take that risk. Another part of intentionality is taking a risk. When you are in love with someone, you don't exactly know how much they love you, but you know how much you love them. So when God is taking that risk on you, he knows that I can sacrifice my only begotten son just for you, but I want to know, what can you sacrifice for me? I want to know, what can you take a risk on for me? What is it that you have to give up in order for you to get something that's better? So when you are being intentional, it's about taking risk. It's about knowing that I am en route, whatever y'all want to call it. I'm in transition to getting to the spot where I can be naked, where I can be vulnerable before God. It's not an arrival period. It's not a destination that you will get in, because God has so many locations. You can find God in your car. You can find God at your job, in your break room. You can find him at the church. You can find him wherever, in the middle of the park, because he's always there. He always have your location. He's always expecting for you to be there, because he knows this is the person I created. I created you to be someone, not someone that you wanted to create in your own image, but someone I created in my own image. God has an image for you. I don't know exactly what it looked like, but I do have a prophetic spirit inside of me to say that it's an image that God has for you, and it's up to you if you want to give up your image to get his image for you. It's an image that you are desiring, and God says it's in me. Find your identity in me, and you will never be able to lose it. Like that example on SpongeBob in the episode, y'all. That was probably my last episode ever watching watching SpongeBob, but he was going crazy. He was just going from place to place saying, I can't do anything. I lost my identity. And it was just a little name tag. He was like, he was going through the trash. He was going to people's houses. He was going through everything because he could not focus on his identity being missing. And that's what I feel like some people that claim they have a relationship with God, or claim they believe in God. How could you believe him and forsake him? I cannot forsake a God I believe. Even though I make my mistakes, I still know he's God. I still know he is above every name, that I'm gonna have to answer to him one day. So knowing that and chasing your identity in God, you shouldn't be able to walk out the house without your identity. Your identity is found through prayer. Your identity is found through communication. Your identity is found through the word, the living word. That living word gives you stability. It gives you your ID badge and say, okay, it's time for you to walk out into the world like a servant. It's time for you to walk out and present yourself as a body of Christ, as a soldier for the kingdom. That is your assignment. That is something to hold on to. I don't know who is listening, but I feel my help coming through. I feel my help coming through, because I am so sold out for heaven. I am sold out for his kingdom, because I know it's nothing that can get better. I'd rather sit and wait for God than to be tormented by the enemy and get 20 times less on what I have faith in that he has for me. Have faith and intentionality to seek his word. Even when it doesn't make sense, read it anyway. Even when you don't want to talk to that pastor, talk to him anyway. Even though you don't want to sit through that service, sit there anyway. Because God will give you revelation even in your unknowing. He will give you a calmness in your spirit to stay. Just stay right there. Just let me deal with you. Sometimes you won't know everything that's going on. Sometimes you won't know every detail, every plan, every scheme, every plot that the enemy may have for you. You won't know everything from either side, from a heavenly standpoint or from a demonic standpoint. You won't know everything to fight. But I do know that God is fighting for you, that he will reveal the secrets to those who love him, those who are for him, because God is for you. In his word, he says, if I am for you, who can be against you? He knows it's somebody against you, but he's saying, who are they compared to me? What is their stature and compared to my position? I'm so magnated that I already know that I'm above every person that's below me, because he has so much power. God has so much sovereignty. God has so much willingness to say, I am that I am. I don't have to put nothing after that. He was so sure in who he was. So it's about us changing. God says he will never change. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So that means that I got to find out who was he yesterday? He probably was a protector yesterday if I'm still here. He must be a provider yesterday because I'm still here. It's got to be something about him that has been sustaining me. But let me find out who he is today, because if he was the same yesterday, that means I got to change to see who else. Let me turn the circle, see what else is on his radar. Let me change the cube to see he's a comforter. What? Let me change it. Hold on. He's a listener. Hold on, wait. He's a friend. What? Oh my God. He's a lifter up of heads. He can lift my head up. What? He's a burden barrier. And you start finding out all these things about him because you know them. You may hear people say it, like you just heard me. What is he? But you have to know him for yourself. Get in a place, wherever it may be. It may be under the bottom of the ground. If you got to dig your feet in the dirt, if you got to ball up some sand and throw it over you, act like you just been buried, do what you got to do to get in that place with God and be intentional. Whatever it looks like, find your appetite in him. Find out where is something that I'm starting to feel compelled to in his word. Whatever it may be worrying, anxiety, depression, oppression. It may be any of those topics, but I know every topic that you are struggling with, he has an answer. Whatever problem, he has a solution because he's that good. I know he's allowed some things to happen, but I'm still advocating that he's that good. I know the children may be acting up. I know the people on your job may be looking at you sideways. I know everybody and their mama don't care for you. But listen, he says, if I'm the only friend, I'm the only friend. That's the only friend that you will need. I'll set up networking connections later, but I want you to find yourself in me. I want to show you what it's like to be in my presence. When you are intentional, you seek out his presence over people's opinions. You believe in your heart that his presence is more powerful than opinions of people. You will believe that he sees something inside of you, and I gotta find out what is it. What is it inside of me that keeps kicking up and kicking against the prick, that's keeping to stay in the world? I want to let that person go, and I want to find out. Let me pick up my new life, because God says if you're able to lose your life, you'll gain it. But if you're ready to keep it, you'll lose it. So I want to encourage you, wherever you are, y'all, wherever you are, lose your life. Be willing to look humiliated. Be willing to be abased in this season. Whatever it may be looking like, you may look foolish. Be a fool for God, and he'll make you the wisest person. Come on. Be wise in your own eyes. You will be a fool to God, and he will spit you out of his mouth and say, it's time for you to go because you think you know it all. Be in a place where you don't know it all. But when you're confident, when God tells you something, run with it. Run with what God tells you and let go of what people gonna tell you. Because people fill your head up and have you flying up, and you don't go anywhere when it comes to your kingdom things. Be intentional with your time. I think that's something that's heavy. Be intentional with your time. And that's time management when it comes to carving out that time with God. You have to. God woke you up. Ain't nobody else. Your job did not wake you up. If you don't wake up to your job, guess what they're going to do? They're going to say, they call out, or they just ain't show up. Cool. We're going to have to hire somebody else. But God ain't saying, he ain't thinking of you like that. If somebody on the basketball team, any sports team, something happened to them, they go to jail, they die, it's nothing they can do. They can just release you, sweetheart. But God will never release you from his team. He will never dismiss you, because he's always been there for you. He created you. He woke you up that day, and he said, I have a plan for you. He said, I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. Yes, you. My plan for everybody else, it wasn't no different. But it's up to you if you want to be intentional about whatever plan I do have for you. Seek me first. and all the other things will be added. Don't seek the added stuff, because you can't get me after. God wants to be first. He wants to be priority in your life. So make him a priority. Be spontaneous with him. Take risk with him. Find the love. Be in love with him. Be willing to risk it all for him, and you will gain it all with him. And he will be with you, and he will be inside of you, and he will dwell there because he has your location. Some of y'all need to drop your location. Some of y'all been off the map. Some of y'all been just saying, I want to share my location with God just for a moment. But I want to tell you that when you invite God into your life, when you say, yes, God, you are the head of my life. I believe that you died and you rose. When you say those words with all of your heart, I'm telling y'all, the location is turned on forever. It's indefinitely. Yes, it is indefinitely. So know that, believe that. And it's tangible stuff that you can be doing practically to show him that you are trying to put your best foot forward, that you are doing the best that you can, and God will meet you exactly where you are. And he won't put more on you than you can bear. It will be some pressure, but that pressure will turn you into gold. That fire will not destroy you. You will come out on the other side, not even smelling like smoke. It's some people in the Bible, y'all need to check them out. It's some people in there that came out of the fire, that came out of the jail cells. The things had to shift, and they remained perfectly sound, in a sane mind, knowing that God was for me all along, that he had to get in the fire with me, that nothing could change me, nothing could shake me, nothing could break me but me. Don't let yourself stop you. Don't let the things in your mind that's going on in your thoughts say, I don't know if I can be intentional. I've been intentional with so many people. I gave people my all. Now it's time to forgive those people. It's time to move forward. It's time to believe that this new step that I'm taking is in the right direction. You may have taken a lot of steps, but God wants you to take them in the right direction, because that's the only thing that matters. When you're taking your steps in serving, when you're making your contributions to the world, you're making the right steps. Even when you miss a step, in his word, he says, I know you may stumble, but I'm not going to let you fall. I'm not going to let you stay down, because I know that you have a plan. God is going to make sure that you're right on time, but be intentional with him so he can work with you. He doesn't want to work against you, and you shouldn't be working against him, because this is a team, and he will never dismiss you. He will never leave you out, and he's not going to replace you, because he knew that if I can make you a fingerprint that won't fit in anyone's else's fingerprint, I knew you were special, and I knew you were different. So you need to believe that before other people tell you you are different, because you'll never believe them. So believe in the God that woke you up, that opened your eyes, to even twiddle your thumbs for you to have a heart that beats, for you to have warm blood running through your veins, for you to even make that money. Believe that he cares for you, that he loves you, and that he's planning something. Even when you sing your songs, he's being strategic. Even when you're working, when you're struggling, when you feel like you're down, he still is working. He says, I will cause all things to work together for your good because you love me. I ain't said that you was going to be perfect. He said, I want to be able to say, well done, my good, and what? Faithful. Last point, y'all, I'm just coming with it. Lord, give me this. Last point of being intentional. When you're intentional, you have to be faithful. You have to be faithful in order to be your best self. When you're being faithful, you're not giving yourself to other things. You're not trying to multitask. You're not trying to be hot or cold, but you're being faithful and you're being consistent. God says, I want you to be a faithful servant. I don't know about you, but I want to be in a relationship with someone that's faithful. You may not be perfect. You may not cross all the T's and dot all the I's, but I do want to know, are you going to be there for me when things doesn't look like how you want it to look? God wants you to be faithful in this season, paired with a little of that intentionality, and you will be in a place that will blow your mind. It may not blow your bank accounts the next day, but I bet it will blow your spiritual account. Your mind will be stayed on him, and your mind will be in perfect peace. Y'all be blessed.